What's going on YouTube? My name is Sal Palmieri. Welcome to my channel and my first video as well. So a little bit about the channel. The channel is going to consist of a lot of both positive and negative life experiences that I've gone through and how I've always tried to remain happy and keep a positive, optimistic attitude towards everything in life. And also a lot of motivational videos, how to keep people moving and content with their everyday lives. So specifically in this video, I'm going to discuss something very serious that I've gone through this past year, and I hope that I can bring some inspiration to other people, like I said, to always keep moving and to never lose faith. To start out, like, I've always been a very tired kid, it's not my whole life, but in high school, I've kind of been, very fatigued a lot of the times, and, I thought maybe I was just run down, with schoolwork, whatever else, and, I never knew what was truly, if there was an issue a medical issue that I was dealing with, so I kind of just, I just thought I was just a tired kid, whatever, and then I'm a sophomore in college, and before my freshman year, going into my freshman year of college, I was really tired again, like unusually tired. It wasn't a normal tired that you go to sleep and wake up and then you feel better. I was just never felt right. So I was it really affected me. So I went to a doctor before school, and the doctor said, there was nothing wrong and that everything was normal. So I said, all right, maybe I just got to change my mental state, whatever, change something, and I didn't know what was, maybe I thought it was in my head, and I never knew what was truly wrong. So then I went in my first semester as a freshman in college, I kind of, felt maybe a little better, but I'd have really bad moments where I'd be so tired, I couldn't even get out of bed. I was just so drained, and never felt really right there either. So then I was kind of upset, whatever, but I tried not to think about it. So then spring semester of my freshman year, in February, I felt really unusually run down. It all started, I was walking out of the library at school, and my vision was so blurry, and everything was seemed off kilter. So, I didn't know what to do, so I was kind of confused and upset and whatever. I'm maybe it's just a headache. I had a massive headache that day too, and I didn't know what was going on. So I just kind of, I called my parents, and they're they said, take Advil, whatever, keep us posted. So I did, and, I never felt right after that. So I was even the next day, maybe a little better, but then the day after, it was the fatigue again. I couldn't even get out of bed. I was struggling to function at school. So I didn't know what to really do or how to really help myself. So I called, like I said, I have a very close relationship with my parents. Called my parents, said, still wasn't right, whatever. So that Friday, this was a Wednesday night. Oh yes, it started on a Monday night, but then this was a Wednesday at this point. And my parents are all right, we'll bring you home Friday to see a doctor, whatever, and see what's going on. So we went to an urgent care late Friday night in last February, 2018, and he said, it sounds like Lyme disease to me. And I was like, Lyme disease? I didn't get a bullseye, I didn't get anything, no way is it Lyme disease. So, I thought maybe chronic fatigue syndrome and all that stuff. I didn't know what it was. So he's like, yeah, it sounds like Lyme disease. So let's run blood work. So we ran the blood work, and if anyone knows, it's a lot of people probably won't know, but if anyone knows anything about Lyme disease, you don't have to be positive in the blood work to have it. As long as you have even if you have nothing, no indicators, you could still have Lyme disease. So he said, he called my mom on a week later and said that he thinks that there were enough indicators to indicate that I had Lyme disease. So I was like, oh man, this is horrible, whatever, but he's like, I'm going to put you on doxycycline for a week or for a few weeks and see if that does anything. So it didn't do. So I'm like, all right. So then I'll try that and see if that helps. It didn't do anything, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't. I was uneducated about Lyme disease. I didn't know what it really what it really was and all that stuff. So I was kind of like confused on how to combat this. So he said. So then I stopped. So then I went to another doctor, and he said he's like, let's run blood work, whatever. He said that I didn't have Lyme disease and that it was in my head. So I'm like, oh man, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't feel right. I can barely get out of bed. I actually had to I was taking 5 classes. I had to drop to 3 classes that semester. And I was really upset. And, I didn't know what to do and what was going on with me. So then I went to that was a rheumatologist. I went to an infectious disease doctor, and he said that he ran blood work again. He said he thought that I had it. And he said, I think there's enough indicators that you have it. So I said, okay, that, at this point, like, not that I wanted to have it, but I didn't know what was wrong with me. So I'd rather have a medical issue and diagnose it and get it better than be like not know what I have and be confused on what's going on with myself. So then there was another infectious disease doctor that I saw, and he said, you don't have it. He said, definitely not. He was adamant. He's like, I'm 99% sure you do not have Lyme disease. So I'm like, oh man. So like, there's 2 doctors that said yes, 2 doctors that said no. Where do I go from here? So then I said, I don't know where to go from here. My parents were very confused and like, kind of upset. Like, where do we turn from here? If 2 say yes, 2 say no, what's going on? Because I believe that I had it. What else could it have been? So, so then I actually made an appointment with the Lyme literate doctor, and in April, and I couldn't. This was still. This with all these doctors, it started in February, it went into March, and then end of April I was visiting this Lyme literate doctor, and I was nervous. I didn't know what she was going to say. Like I didn't want to come out of there and her say you don't have this, and then what's wrong with me. Like it would have just been a whole big thing. Like I said, not that I want Lyme disease, but I would rather have a diagnosis and treat it and get better than not know what's wrong with me. So I went to this Lyme literate doctor, and she said, without a doubt, you have it, 110%. There was elevated numbers from 10 years ago for some reason, or I'm sorry, 8 years ago. They ran Lyme disease at my pediatrician, and the numbers were all elevated, and they didn't even say anything. And she said, definitely, at least you've had it for at least 8 years. And I was, blown away. I was very upset and, shocked that it was that long that I've had it. So, and like I said, like when you have it that long, it's considered a chronic condition, because it's not, if it's a few weeks in or even a year in, it's maybe they can treat it quicker, but this was going to be a while to treat. So I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. She said there's a lot of medications, all this stuff that I have to take in order to get better and feel well again. So I said, I'm on board, whatever. So after that, she put me on a lot of different medications. Like 6 medications and probiotics for my stomach. So it was really tough. But so I knew, like, then going back to school, at least I knew what was wrong with me, and I knew that it wasn't in my head, and nothing more serious was going on. So I said, I was not happy, but I was kind of more content that I knew what was going on. So anyways, I went back to school, whatever. Finished the semester, came home that summer, went for infusions every 3 days, 3 days every week. So so that was tough. But yeah, I mean, I did what I have. I'm still doing what I have to do in order to get fully better. So so that was that. And the summer was, like I started, never felt great. Like, like I've still to this day don't feel great. At this point, I think there's definitely improvement. Just not where I would love it to be yet, but it takes time. So especially since having it for 8 years. And I didn't even know if for my sophomore year in the fall semester if I was going to come back. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought maybe I'd have to commute, whatever, but I'm like, no matter what, I'm going back to school. I want to go back. I want to live a normal life and whatever else. So I said, I'm going back no matter what, and I'm going to get through it and fight through it and tooth and nail. So I did go back this past semester, fall 2018, and I was nervous going back. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I had good and bad moments, good and bad days, good and bad everything. It never was, I would be very, very tired a lot of the times, but definitely better than the spring 2018 semester, but still not where I needed to be. So, I didn't know. I still was very confused, whatever. But I always kept the faith, and I always kept trying to plug along and do what I could do to, make me happy and stay positive in the end. So definitely, there's been improvement, but it's not where I would love it to be at this point. But yeah, no, it's the main improvement is that at this point I have good and bad moments. I used to have when it first came out, I used to have good and bad days. A lot of bad days. Here it might be moments, so I might have a 2-hour window that is horrible, and then it gets better, and then it could come back to horrible again. So you don't know what to expect, but that's better than having bad days. So yeah, so that's my rant pretty much. I just about my experience. If anyone is experiencing similar symptoms or Lyme disease or whatever, just please drop a comment, whatever. I'm always open to talk to people and help people with this, and yeah. So and like I said, I want to talk about now quickly about how to stay positive throughout it all, and this was a very tough time for me, and I didn't know what, like I said, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was very upset, but I've always been a positive person, and I've always said, it could be worse, and it's going to get better. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and if you don't have that mentality, you get really down, and it's depressed, and it's not good for you. So you have to, no matter what, always stay positive. It could always be worse. And at the end of the day, you're fighting whatever big obstacle or small obstacle, you're fighting whatever life has given you. You can't saying why me, this and that, all this stuff is not going to fix the issue. You have to come to the realization that this is what you're dealing with, and you have to fight through it and do the best you can to fight through it. And if you don't fight through it, you're never going to be satisfied or happy with yourself, and it's just it's a vicious cycle. So you always have to keep the positivity alive and never get down on yourself, because if you get down and start doubting yourself, if you do that stuff, you're never gonna be happy. So yeah, I mean, this experience made me definitely even more positive of a person than I already was, because it made me realize how, what it's like to really feel good, and that this experience really made me stronger, and that I can speak about it to other people, and it made me realize that life's a gift every day, and that you can't, take it for granted, and that, feeling good is the number one thing, and if you don't feel good, that's a big downside. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, and like I said, just always stay positive, always be happy. Obviously, people are not always, happy, whatever. People's moods change. That's normal. But know at the end of the day that everyone's blessed in their own ways, and that you have to find your own way to cope with your issues and dilemmas and whatever else. So, like I said, I feel like I'm rambling now. But like I said, it's all in the mindset, and how you approach various issues and problems. And if you approach them, with a positive attitude and a smile on your face, you might even feel a little, it might not seem as bad than if you approach it as negative and everything's down and depressed and sad. It just doesn't work out. So, like I said, I feel like I'm rambling on now, but yeah, like I said, to finish off, always keep the faith and never, like I said, always be happy, always keep the faith, never lose the faith because it does get better. I know from personal experience that, I've had other obstacles that I've dealt with, small, big, whatever, and it always gets, time heals everything. So that's pretty much it. This is my first YouTube video, and yeah, like and subscribe it. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, everyone.